Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great lineup of candidates here and some great speakers, but there's one woman who has been our standard bearer, who has become our hero in this movement, who has stood with us since the beginning, who stands for liberty, for constitutional government. I'm proud to introduce the next Attorney General of the state of Connecticut, the lovely, brilliant, courageous Martha Dean.
Thank you all for coming. When I started this race, I went to an event in Clinton, a Republican event, and there were so many candidates running. And the event went on for so many hours. And no one wanted to hear any more speeches because they were all great, but they went on and on and on. That I simply stood up at the end and said, I'm Martha Dean, and I have two words, at least two words on my campaign sign that you have never seen in politics before, and you may never see in politics again. But these are the three pillars of my campaign, and the three pillars that are at the very foundation of every free and great society in the history of the world, America being the first and the greatest. And these pillars, freedom, faith, and fortune, are what this country is all about. And I said, we are going to light this race on fire. The state of Connecticut will never have seen anything like what we are going to do. Thank you very much for all of your help. And I sat down. So let me just tell you a little bit about what this race is all about and what we need to do to win it. And we will win it. We will. You all know that I know how to do a speech and do it loudly and yell like in 2002 at the convention when I was trying to wake up Republicans and get us to fight for what we believe in. But that's not what I'm going to do here. I hope I'm loud enough, but I want to talk about some things that are serious that we need to do, and I'm going to inject a little bit of humor and try to do it over the singing in the background. First of all, as I said, this is about freedom, faith, and fortune. But I want to just state that I've always stood for what I stand for today, but the world has come around in Connecticut and in this country to understanding what I believe in, what Americans have always believed in. And so what I want to do is thank someone who has inspired Americans of every political persuasion, who has roused us from our sleep, who has caused us to take out that old, dusty Constitution and read it, who has organized us, who has caused us to leave our jobs, our families, to spend countless hours on the trail educating the voters of America. I would like to give my deepest appreciation, express my deepest appreciation, and give my tremendous thanks, and ask all of you to as well, to our President Barack Obama. Most of you know I do a serious speech, so I wanted to inject a little bit of humor. But the truth is, as you know it, he has had that effect on the people of America and of this state, and for that we truly can be very thankful. Let me just say, because you're going to need to go out and fight this battle for the next month, and I want to prepare you to do that. You've been fighting all along, but you're getting mixed messages. The party is giving you a different message from what you feel is the proper message in this race. And I love the Republican Party, and I am a proud Republican. But I want to be very clear about what the message of this race has to be if we're going to win. So the next part of my speech is going to be a little bit of campaign instruction. This election, you need to tell people, well, let me back up and say, the Republicans are going to vote for Republicans this year. The Democrats are, for the most part, going to vote for Democrats this year. There's not going to be crossover of Republicans to vote for Blumenthal. The parties are going to vote for their own. But the unaffiliated and the independents and those who are not even registered to vote but could vote are in the middle. And they truly are in play. And we need to talk to them. They're our friends. They're our neighbors. They're our families. They're our colleagues at work. And I want to be very clear about what you should and what you should not say to our dear friends who are in the middle, not because they believe nothing, not because they stand for nothing. They're in the middle because they are so cynical They have not seen anything that they can believe in this country or this state in a very long time. So they sit there and they don't participate. So this is what we're going to say. We're going to say to our friends, don't worry about the parties. Worry about what's right and wrong. This election is not about right or left. This election is truly about right or wrong. It is right to be fiscally responsible, and it is simply wrong to misuse our resources. It is right to uphold the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. And it is simply wrong to disrespect it, to ignore it, and to not even read it. It is right to be ethical in elected office, and it is simply wrong to use elected office for personal or political ends. It is right to uphold traditional family values as the foundation of strong families and a strong country, not to deprive anyone else of rights, not to insult anyone, but to uphold them as an ideal, because that's what makes a strong country, strong families. And it is simply wrong to undermine our families in America. These are not Republican or Democratic messages, and you will hear the media call me an extreme right-wing candidate. Well, some people have criticized me, like my Republican opponent, for being some sort of left-wing candidate. But let me just say, these are not Republican or Democrat values. These are mainstream American values, and they have not been heard from for a long time in this country. Do not assume that people that don't agree with you are stupid. They are not. Do not assume that people who don't agree with you have ill will. They do not. Do not assume that Connecticut is a blue state. It is not. But here in Connecticut, where a certain party has controlled the dialogue, it's not a dialogue, it's a monologue, for so long, there is nothing else to hear. Here in Connecticut, where the media has been a left-wing, for the most part, media, there has been nothing else to read or watch or listen to. This is no longer true. People and all of us know that. I know that from running debates for the Federalist Society for years. People, when they are presented with the facts, when they are presented with the truth, they just innately recognize it. They recognize it as so. And we are finally providing people with the truth, speaking the truth. The diet of a free people is truth. So when you go out and you speak to these friends who don't belong to a party, do not say, vote Republican. You want them to vote for good candidates, and it just so happens to be so that represents the values that I just mentioned: fiscal responsibility, upholding the Constitution, ethics in office, traditional family values as an ideal, not a mandate. Okay? It's a free country. We can all make poor decisions. But this is what we're holding up as those values. Do not tell them that that means vote Republican, because we all know, and we have to be truthful, that there are plenty of bums on both sides of the aisle, and I'm not one of them, and neither are you. Neither are you. Okay? But we have to be truthful, because if we're not, people will not believe us. We will not have credibility. So it's not about party. It's about putting good people in office. And what we can say is that the Republicans happen to have this year, I believe, to a great extent, the candidates that have the kind of resume, the kind of background, the kind of life experience that shows that they are fiscally responsible. They're business owners for the most part this year who have run businesses. There's a whole track record there.